Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MedTech Impact Podcast, where you get to hear from leaders and innovators who are shaping the future of medical technology. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Meiklejohn.
And we're your hosts of the show.
So today on the MedTech Impact Podcast, we are delighted to be joined by Dr. Adarsh Patil, CEO and founder from OUI Medical. Adarsh, welcome.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Kyle, for having me. And I'm really glad to be on this podcast. And I look forward to interact with you guys.
Well, you've been a long-time connection of the MTD2 family, so it's amazing to finally have this conversation. Obviously, you're part of our current impact program, so it's great to be able to support OUI Medical and you on your journey. As always, when we kick things off, we like to share with the listeners, what is the big problem that OUI Medical is looking to solve?
Well, OUI Medical is trying to simplify the complex problem of abdominal cavity examination. So whenever there is a problem in the abdomen, patients have to undergo first a non-invasive evaluation with a CT scan, MRI, and a PET scan, which have their own limitations. Like they are sometimes non-accessible, they have risk of radiation, and they often are not conclusive. So these patients have to undergo second line of investigation, which is an invasive investigation in the form of diagnostic laparoscopy or a laparotomy, which is a surgery, which means we have to admit the patient to the hospital, shift them to the operation theater, and perform a surgery, which is painful and inconvenient and expensive. So we are trying to simplify this whole process.
And I can imagine that you're seeing a lot of these procedures happening. Can you talk a little bit about the numbers involved and how often are people undergoing these types of procedures?
Well, quite common. There are approximately around 40 million diagnostic laparoscopies happen all over the world annually, and we believe our procedure will expand this market.
Yeah, so it's pretty, obviously those are some pretty large numbers, pretty encouraging. I guess, how are you going to, solve that problem? What's your solution look like?
Well, we have a device, specifically an endoscopic device, which is portable, cost-effective, and convenient, and we can perform an abdominal cavity examination under local anesthesia without the need for an general anesthesia and without the need for admission to the hospital. So this procedure can be performed as an outpatient procedure. So patient can walk in, get this procedure done, and walk out on the same day. And it's painless, it's convenient, and it's cost effective.
So this is a minimally invasive procedure in the abdomen. And how long does it take to perform this procedure?
Probably a half an hour. That's the time this procedure would take.
What's the typical time on a procedure today based on, the current solution that's in place?
Yeah, but current solution is a diagnostic laparoscopy or a laparotomy, which means admission and surgery. Probably it's at least a 2 days procedure, so probably a 2 days admission. And the procedure times is anesthesia and a surgery is approximately 2 hours or 3 hours is the procedure time usually.
Yeah, so I mean, like, you're talking a massive difference here in treatment, right? You're talking about far more efficient, cost effective, we would imagine, right, for the hospital, the healthcare system. So there's definitely some compelling value. And Richard, when we're talking about value, and we're talking about products and how they match up to the current products and technologies today in the market, I think about that go-to-market strategy.
100%, Kyle, and you touched on some really important value points there around the accessibility, I think, of this type of technology. I think, Adarsh, we understand, particularly for low resource settings, this is a really exciting and novel product that could make a big difference. So could you talk a little bit more about how you plan to get this product into the hands of the physicians?
Well, yeah. So initially, we intend to do some studies and publish those studies, which will confirm the efficiency and the accuracy of the device. So with these studies, we intend to go to conferences and introduce them to surgeons. So that would drive the adoptability of the device.
Nice. And you've got the very cool prototype, which I think is nothing like showing what this product actually looks like and what it can do.
Yes, we have a market ready device, and we have already taken an IRB clearance, and we have performed some early cases, human cases, and some early human cases, and we have proved the efficiency and also accuracy of the device as of now.
Amazing. And what's the feedback been like from people who've been able to use it?
Yeah, it has been great. The feedback from the surgeons have has been great, and they are all looking forward. The question I get is, where can we purchase it? So that's been the feedback. So they have been waiting for this device to come to market.
Fantastic. This sounds pretty exciting, Kyle, in terms of, taking this type of product to market, which could be pretty disruptive.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. And Adarsh, you were talking about kind of those clinical studies and what you're doing right now. But maybe you could elaborate a little bit more too on kind of that regulatory pathway and what's going into that currently.
Yeah, so we have already submitted our breakthrough device designation application to FDA, and we have had our first interaction with the FDA, and they have given a feedback that it's a very impactful device, and we would want this device to come to market, and they are willing to cooperate with us, and we have agreed on a predicate for this device. And also we have agreed that 510(k) would be an ideal pathway to get this device through. And as we have already finished all the testing required, so we are looking forward to submit our 510(k) application. And as from our reference from the FDA website, we have seen that this kind of endoscopic device, the average clearance time is around 3 months. So that's the timeline we are looking for our 510(k) to get through, unless they ask for some additional studies, which could be a small studies of 10 cases, and that could be performed over 1 or 2 months. So we are total timeline we are looking at of around 6 months for the device to go through FDA.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, especially for a technology that is clearly a lot more different, or a procedure that's a lot more different and unique than what's currently out there today. Um, that just makes me wonder, could you maybe elaborate more on how you were able to kind of get that buy-in from FDA on that 510(k) kind of pathway and being able to establish a predicate device like that?
Well, yeah. So we have a comparative device that would be laparoscope,
Okay.
and people have tried to examine abdominal cavity under local anesthesia using laparoscope. So there is sufficient evidence available for to prove that there are certain benefits, uh, clear benefits for examination of abdominal cavity under local anesthesia, and we quoted these studies to FDA, and they reviewed them, and that helped us a lot to convince FDA that with regard to the safety and efficiency and also accuracy of this device. And we had also conducted our cadaveric studies and some early human cases, so we gave those references to FDA. So they were quite convinced about the device. So that's how we were able to be on the same page with the FDA actually.
Yeah, that's fantastic, Adarsh. And we love that feedback because, there's oftentimes a lot of challenges when companies are trying to determine what that predicate device is, and how to kind of go about 510(k) pathway. And obviously, that's the most desired pathway, right? That's going to be your fastest time to market. So I think that's a great kind of opportunity for other OEMs out there, or founders of early stage technologies, where they're trying to figure out, hey, how can we get a 510(k) pathway? And so that's fantastic. But of course, it doesn't come without challenges, Richard. Something that we touch on quite often.
Yeah, and Kyle, you make an interesting point. That speed to market and having a 510K pathway is often, very desirable just to accelerate your progress in your pathway. And again, speed to market is so critical when we think about things like funding. How have you found the funding landscape so far, Adarsh?
It's been tough. However, I believe uh, to keep going and be innovative and get to a point where the investors cannot resist you. So that's been my way of getting it to the funding, and the fact that I have a market ready device, and the fact that I have already contract manufacturers in place, the fact that I already have some good rapport with the FDA, and the fact that I have already done some early clinical cases weigh in a lot, and I have received a lot of interest from the investors, and that part is looking good right now.
Fantastic. Well, hopefully you can be irresistible to investors and get that all essential funding. And I wonder just one other thought around challenges. Often a big problem, of course, is getting paid. So what does the reimbursement pathway look like, and how have you found navigating that?
Well, yes, so that has been one of the challenges for me. I am coming from India and I have never been in healthcare system in US. So reimbursement has been a challenge for me. And however, we have done some initial evaluation, and there are two factors. One is improved clinical outcome and reduction of cost for the patients, for the hospitals. So these are the two factors, and the entire health system. So these are the two factors which I believe will help us to get a proper reimbursement. And also the application being compelling and life saving. That means, so these are the factors we believe will help us to identify a proper reimbursement pathways for us. So, initial studies have showed us that there are some diagnostic codes which we could fit in. So, that has been the initial evaluation of our device actually.
Excellent. Well, again, that's such an essential thing when you're thinking about building the foundation of any successful medical device product is making sure you know your reimbursement. And as you touched on there, you're based in India, you're making it happen from Bangalore, the Silicon Valley of the East. And so it's exciting to have you on, and I appreciate, because I know it's a little bit later there for you dialing in today. But I'm sure, Kyle, again, there's lots to look forward to in terms of
Yeah,
what's coming up.
absolutely. I mean, Darsh, it sounds too like you're making such tremendous progress, and that's really just great to hear. So, I mean, I guess what does that next, 6, 12, 18 months look like for We Medical?
Yeah, the major milestone would be to get through 510K with an FDA. So that would put us in a very strong position. And also, if possible, there are some resources available simultaneously conduct some clinical trials using a IRB clearance, so that by the time we clear our 510K, we already have some evidence for on our device, and it would really help us to go to market quickly.
That's fantastic. And are there any, maybe upcoming partnership opportunities that you would be looking forward to, or maybe other, I don't know, potential for other sort of products um, in this
Uh,
in this area of abdomen treatments?
Yeah, so basically, the device is a platform. Never in the history of medicine has there been a device which could enable abdominal cavity access under local anesthesia outside the OR. So that opens up for a lot of opportunities. For example, a local chemotherapy or a radiotherapy or new devices. So we have one more application for a port wherein we leave the port on the abdominal wall during the surgery, and we post operatively, if there are any bleeding or any anastomotic leak, we'll be able to go inside the abdomen and have a look in the bedside in the patient's room. So these are some of the opportunities that this device brings in. So it's really a platform to access abdomen under local anesthesia outside the OR.
That's fantastic. And it's interesting because you're talking about, you've done again so much, and you can't do that without a team. And Richard, we always talk about the importance of your team. I mean, that really is truly what makes every company so special.
Yeah,
You know,
100% again, Kyle. I mean, I think you've obviously been a leading light in everything you're doing and coming at this with your own medical background, but what other experts have you had involved in terms of either team members or advisors?
Well, yeah. So I have a Rishikesh who comes from the engineering background, and also I have advisors, my colleagues, doctors who are anesthetists and radiologists, who gave a lot of input for me. And also recently, Susie Engwall has joined us, and she has been a great help to network, and we have had a great time accessing her network. So, and also. M2D2 has recently introduced me to Tom, who comes from the marketing background, and he has given great feedback, and we have agreed that we will continue our relationship after the accelerator, and I am looking forward to work with him with regard to marketing.
Brilliant. And again, shout out to those leaders, Susie Engwell and Tom Ross, two fantastic medtech innovation leaders who are supporting the ecosystem and helping turn these great products into, game-saving ideas that become these real solutions for patients. That's so exciting. And in that word you touched on there, network, is so important. And I wondered if you could sort of look at how you've approached networking and gone about connecting with these people.
Well, yeah. So I come from India, and probably as of now, I know more people in US than in India. US is a great ecosystem for medtech, which is not there in India. Most of it is in IT. So it has been great, and people in US are have been very welcoming, very warm, and very kind and compassionate. And it has been great. People at LSI, people at M2D2. Richard, I met him last time, and we have been constantly connected on LinkedIn, and he has been always encouraging me. You have been always encouraging me. Kyle, I met him once. I saw him last time, and we had a call regarding our device, and we are looking forward to working with him. So that's how, I mean, the network has been great, mostly social media, LinkedIn, and these conferences, LSI. So they help us build trust, and they help to build recognition. I met so many investors when I visited last time US, and I have been keeping them updated on LinkedIn, and they have been responding, and I am looking forward to connecting with them. And all those updates have helped, and I have gotten the second meetings with them, and I have received a lot of interest. So it takes time. I mean, it takes time. You have to invest in networking. You have to build some amount of trust. You have to keep them updated about your progress, and that helps in a long run.
Well, hats off to you for hustling and making it happen. You're, such a great personality, and you're putting yourself out there, and you're, linking in to the different ecosystems and attending the big events, and again, just making it happen, Kyle. I think that's great advice for any entrepreneur.
no doubt. And I did want to just quickly say too, Adarsh, like that's super inspirational. I mean, like what it takes to be a founder and a leader and how you continue to constantly put yourself and your technology out there and be a part of this med tech community, traveling all over the world nonstop. It really is just incredible. So I guess with all of your experiences to date and everything that you've seen out there, let's do a little reflection. What would you say are your kind of top, one, two, three tips, right? That you would have for the audience, maybe other founders that might be looking to bring, medical technology to market.
Yeah. So one important thing I want to bring out is with regard to product development. Initially, we tried to develop on our own, and we failed miserably. However, we learned a lot from it, and the learning was that I mean, when you are coming with a medical product, probably most of the parts you require have been already invented and they are somewhere there. So you should look around and find out if something is available rather than trying to build from the ground. So in our case, we went to a contract manufacturer and we gave them specifications that this is the product. We identified a existing product and we asked them to modify it to according to our requirement, and they didn't charge us anything. They modified it to our according to our requirement, and they provided the product. So we didn't have any cost involved in developing the product, and even they provided all the certifications required for our FDA application. So we saved cost on that. We also saved significant amount of time, probably an year of time. So that's how we were able to make that breakthrough and get our market ready product quickly and do our testing and apply to FDA and get it through quickly. So you have to look around and see if there is anything existing. You can build on that cost efficiently, quickly, and because in this scenario, it's very difficult to raise funds just to build a product and come to a point where you can prove something. So if you can achieve that with innovation, that's one point. And also with regard to team building. So I have burnt my hands. I took up team members. However, you have to be careful. You have to see if they are really interested in what you are doing, if they are enrolled. So that way it helps because they are also motivated. Otherwise, if you take someone, then you have to keep pushing them to do some things, and that drains a lot of energy out of you. And so you need to be careful in that respect. It might take time, and you might not have a fully formed team. Of course, everybody expects a well-rounded team and a well-rounded company and well-rounded product, but that's not a reality. There are some chunks in every company, so you need to be careful on that. So these are the two things I would like to bring in.
Yeah, that's amazing, and I, want to go back to your first point there. One, I think I think everyone's going to be reaching out to you, Adarsh, and asking who your partner is because that is incredibly generous of them. But that shows what a true partnership is all about. And I think it's fascinating because you made a point, and I think this is something that we're seeing a lot in the medical device world, especially from a development kind of strategy. You mentioned that the contract manufacturer already had a product that existed. Did I get that right? And then they were able to modify the product to meet your requirements. Is that correct?
They had a different product, and we just needed some modifications to be made to that product which would fit our needs. So and I would like to correct you that
Yeah.
uh, uh, when you say a relationship with a contract manufacturer, it's a mutual relationship. So if they are giving me they are helping me out with the product and with my FDA, tomorrow they are going to get my contracts from me. So that's the motivation for them to do it. And your responsibility to convey to the contract manufacturers that there is going to be a significant benefit for them if they do it for you. So I was able to convey that to them that if they do it for me, I will bring them future contracts. So that motivation was there for them, and that's why they did it.
Of course. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And, it's just interesting because I think we're seeing a lot of development accelerator type of solutions and programs that contract manufacturers are actually bringing to the market where they're trying to say, hey, we've got this product, and so it will help someone like you, Adarsh, and your company really save significant time in the development process,
Yeah.
and then you're saving tooling costs. You're not making these big massive investments, which is really incredible. Again, it helps you kind of stay very lean, right? Keep your expenses very low, so you're not going into all of this debt. And I think that's really important, you know, for everyone to know, because that's really going to put you in a really strong position to grow and scale quickly when you get to production. And I think more OEMs need to be looking for partners that offer these development accelerating solutions. So it's great to hear that, you know, you were able to, you know, experience something like that. And
Yeah, I mean, Kyle,
that's
honestly, I mean,
fantastic.
such solid advice, and I
Yeah.
think what you're highlighting there, it's worth, the audience really tuning in and taking that on board, because there are solutions out there to help companies go forward, and again, potentially they can be big cost savers. Another word that really jumped out there to me was relationships. That is such an important thing, whether that's with your team or with your suppliers. And I think again, you're obviously being super intentional, and I think, of course, as we build that team, like you touched on, it's all about surrounding yourself with great people. It's a long journey to take any medical device product to market. It takes the right level of energy. It takes that sort of level of give and take with the relationships. And clearly, that's such great advice you were giving there. And it sounds exciting that you've managed to get now those right people around you who hopefully can buy into the vision of where you would like to take OUI Medical. And it's probably the perfect time for us, if you're possible, if you could share us, what is your big vision for OUI Medical? Where do you see the company in 3 to 5 years' time?
Yeah, so I absolutely agree with you, Richard. And my strategy is whoever shows keen interest in my company, grab them, catch hold of them and grab them. It's hard to get to people who really appreciate what you are doing and who get enrolled. So keep them in, offer them something and keep them in is my strategy. And yes, the long-term vision for the company is to make abdominal cavity accessible and safe. So if you look at outside US, yes, US is the major market, but if you look at developing countries, there is no real access for CT scans. There is a real shortage of radiologists, and availability of radiologists in rural areas is not there. So our device can go in places where these facilities are not available. For example, military field hospitals, nothing is there. So our device can go a rural hospital. So one of the main problem our device solves is that me being a surgeon and there is a radiologist who reports a scan and sends to me. However, there is a disconnect. So he doesn't know the complete history of the patient, and the report that comes to me is not really uh, convincing to me because I have known the patient, I have examined the patient, and I am suspecting something, and the report says something. So as a surgeon, I would like to find it out myself. So if I can go and have a look inside myself, so that would be of a great help. And we are trying to, this device would fill that gap. So I think this device would do a lot for patients who do not have access to proper radiology services. So long-term vision is to make this device accessible and available throughout the world.
That's an exciting vision. I think that word access, in terms of low resource settings, bringing a technology like this to market has so much opportunity. Again, you touched on at the beginning the fact that these procedures can be very expensive. They can be very timely. And so the fact that you can have this alternative product, which can be taken into areas which currently aren't possible to provide these types of procedures, that is super exciting. So yeah, I'm sure, like, listening in to this, people will be wanting to support you on your journey, Kyle, and will want to know how to get in touch.
Yeah, no kidding. Adarsh, how are people, you know, how do they get in touch with you?
It's simple. It's V Medical. It's a very catchy name. V French. V means yes. So just Google for V Medical. And my email is ap@oui-medical.com. Please get in touch. Thank you.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. We can't thank you enough. We're super excited to obviously follow your journey and see you bring this exciting technology to market. So thank you again for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Kyle, and thank you, Richard. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Adarsh Patil from OUI Medical. And until next time, thank you for tuning into another episode of the MedTech Impact Podcast. I'm Kyle Cruz.
And I'm Richard Meiklejohn. Keep innovating.